Hello, welcome to Pecan Corner. I'm Tina, and today I'm going to make mesquite bean jelly. I have never made this before, so the recipe that I'm using um, calls for the things that I seem to find a consensus on the internet for. Mesquite bean in Texas has been used for food for centuries, although it was although the mesquite trees didn't spread really until the cattle drives started. All the longhorns and wild cattle spread them along in South Texas and in the West before that. But what you want to do, from everything I've read, is gather them once they've you don't want them green. What you want them is once they've started to turn white with little reddish maroon color streaks on them, and pick them off the tree, not off the ground. So my stepmother and my dad collected up a bunch of them for me, and see how they just snap apart. You can also grind them up for flour, and I actually knew a man once who had grown up down in deep South Texas in the wild desert country. His family actually lived in caves down in there, and they ate these mesquite beans. His mother would grind them up and make like tortillas out of them, and so they ate these and meat and whatever wild greens that they could get. And he said it tasted good at the time. But his wife didn't cook them for him anymore. so I haven't gotten to the point to grind them up and make flour with them yet. I'll leave that to another time. But anyway, all I'm going to do right now is I'm snapping them up. You can see here's another one. This one's still kind of not dry yet. So once they're like this, they're okay too. See, that one's it's no longer green. It's turned white and it's got the reddish streaks, but it's not quite dry. You can use that for your jellies too. That'll be just fine. Anyway, the recipe says to break them into pieces and put them into my pot. I'm going to fill my pot up. It actually calls for, the recipe I believe calls for a lot of quarts of these. Anyway, I'm basically going to fill this pot up and then cover it with water. I'm going to add a full cupful of lemon juice to the beans, and then I'm going to cook them for an hour. So I'll be back in a few minutes when I get these all snapped up. Okay, I take it back about the ones that are so green. I tasted one of these and they're bitter. So you want them after they've ripened enough to snap. So that way all of the starches and bitterness has turned into sugar in them. All right? Okay, I've washed my beans. I snapped them all up, and then I washed them all. I covered them with water, and then I scooped them out of the water, and then drained the water off. And that way, any little bits of anything, little bugs that might be hiding or anything like that, would be gone. So now I've got them in about twice as much water as there are beans. I've just added a full cupful of lemon juice, and I'm going to bring them up to a simmer and simmer them for an hour. Thanks, and I'll see you guys when I start getting ready to do the jelly making. Okay, now I am pouring up my juice. It's a pretty color. It looks like honey, and it smells kind of funny. It smells like wet grass, Paul says, but the liquids actually smells a little better than it did in the pot cooking. It didn't smell very good in the pot cooking, so we're going to step forward. I'm straining it. I'm using a tea strainer. If you have one of those reusable coffee filters, you can use that too. But the tea strainer seems to be plenty. And I'm straining it into my canning jars, because I have found if I've got excess juice and I don't want to make it all up into jelly, I'm better off just canning the juice. So I've started, since I don't have a lot of freezer space, I used to put it in vinegar jars and bottles and put it in the freezer, but now I don't have a lot of space, so I'm just pouring it directly into my canning jars, and I'll refrigerate it, and then if I decide to can it, I'll just put it in the in the canner with my lemon juice in it, and then warm it up slowly. So that'll work until it comes up to the temperature. All right, I'll be back in a little while. Okay, I forgot to film the making of the mesquite bean jelly the first time when I made the juice. So now I'm making another batch of jelly and filming it. I sold completely out of my first batch on the first day that I offered it. This jelly tastes like honey. Honestly, you will be so shocked. It looks like honey and it tastes like honey. The flavor and even the aroma is so different in the completed juice than it was in those beans. A friend of ours posted it said it smells like boiling horse and mule feed, and that's exactly what the beans did smell like. But the juice and the itself and the jelly has a lovely, almost well, it's like honey. It's amazing what it smells like. So the recipe I found that is working great is from Recipe Cottage, and it calls for 5 cups of juice and 1 package of Sure Gel and 7 1/2 cups of sugar. So I've put the 5 cups of mesquite bean juice and 1 package of Sure Gel in my deep pan here, and I'm bringing it to a full rolling boil. And when it comes to a boil, a full rolling boil that I can't stir down, I have to stir it all the time while it's doing this so it won't stick. Then I'll add my sugar. Okay, now it's boiling. I've got my jars sterilized and ready to go. These jars are I can up my excess juice so that I can make my jellies in small batches. And so I'm going to be making grape juice, wild grape jelly, agarita jelly, and wild blackberry jam a little bit later today. So I've got those jars already sitting out. That's what that is. All right, this is boiling now. I'm going to pour my sugar in all at the same time. There we go. That little bowl is perfect for that. And now I'm going to stir. You have to stir constantly once you add that sugar in, because otherwise the sugar will burn. It'll lay there on the bottom and stick and burn, and it makes a big mess. And you can't walk away from jelly when you're making it, because it will boil over, and oh my goodness, you've never seen such a mess as it will make when it boils over. All right, I'm going to bring this now. It's on high heat, and I'm going to bring it to a full rolling boil that won't stir down, and then I'll be back and show you. All right, now this has come to a full rolling boil that cannot be stirred down. I want you to see it. Let me lift my tripod up here. See how that looks? That is the only reason it's not boiling over is because I'm stirring it. That's what they mean by full rolling boil, is all that buzzing up there. Now I've got my timer set because I want this to boil at this hard rate for at least 1 full minute. So as soon as my timer goes off, I'm having to adjust my temperature on the stove just to keep it from boiling over, but it's not reducing the boil rate on it. It's just keeping it from getting so hot that it wants to boil over. This is why you use such a big pan for such a seemingly small amount of juice and sugar. All right, now I'm going to stir it. I'm going to turn my fire off. Now I'm going to just stir it as it cools. I'm going to pull it off the fire a little bit there. There we go. Stir it until it quits boiling here. Okay. Alright. Now it takes this jelly a few days to set up, so you need to make it ahead of time. Alright, now it's still boiling a little bit, but it's not doing that full rolling boil. Now I've got my funnel there, and now, oh, I need to add I'm going to add a little dab of butter. There's the spoon. Just a little dab, about a quarter teaspoon of butter to knock that foam off. There's not as much foam with this jelly as there is with a lot of jellies, but I don't want to lose any of it to foam. I've also set out 2 of these little tiny jars to use as tasters. That's a one-time use. We'll take it to one event and use it as a taster there, and then open a new one for the next event. And so I've got 2 events coming up that I want to, actually 3, but I'm only going to make 2 tasters with this one because I may have to make, I'm hoping I'll sell out again. For the farmer's market, this does not sound good. I've never made this before, and now I'm like, I wish I had been making this all my life because it is just so good. And everybody who tasted it bought a jar of it. So and more people wanted it, and I was already sold out. So this is a really good seller, and the mesquite beans are so crisp by the time you pick them that they'll crack. So that's you're not getting them when they're green. You're getting them when they're good and ripe, but still hanging on the tree. And but so it's not really so much the juice you're extracting as the flavor from the fully ripe beans. So that's something to remember when you're doing this. You'll see in my other video, it's been so long since I made it that unfortunately I can't remember everything that I talked about in it. But now I'm going to wipe these rims with a damp cloth, and I use a wet paper towel. That way I have a clean one every time I turn around. I like that. And then I'll be back and show you the finished product. Now that the jellies are filled and the lids are on them, I've put them into a boiling water bath with a little vinegar in the water, and they will process jellies for 5 minutes, jams for 10 minutes. So I've got my timer set, and then when these are processed for 5 minutes, then I'll pull them out and let them finish cooling on the counter. This jelly is so good, my dad just brought me 3 more buckets of mesquite beans, because they're starting, they're starting to fall off the trees now. So you need to get out and get them gathered now. But you can see how they are. They're just as brittle as can be, and I'm not paying any attention to those little holes in there because I'm gonna filter all of this. All right, be back in a few minutes when the jelly's done. Okay, it's done.
I like his wife. Yeah, she's a nice lady. And his previous wife, Elsie, was the most wonderful woman in the world. She was sweet.
And it's finished, and it's sitting here popping. As you can see, it's a beautiful clear color. They tell me, a friend of ours has a son that started raising bees this last year, and he got his first honey this year, and it's mostly mesquite honey. And they said it's clear, it's almost water clear. The honey is. It said it's just a delicious honey, but this tastes like honey. In fact, I think I'm going to add call it poor man's honey on my label, because it is the most delicious flavored thing that jelly that I think I've ever eaten. All right, well, I hope you all will enjoy this, and if you have mesquite trees where you live, I hope you'll be able to make you some jelly, and that it will be a good seller for you at your farmer's market if your college food law lets you sell those things. Thank you so much. If you want to learn about making jams and jellies, I heartily recommend reviewing all of the materials at the National Center for Home Food Preservation, and also getting the Ball Blue Book, Keening book, so that you've got reading materials to follow along too. I learn something from my commenters every time I put up a new video. People come along and they give me tips about how to do things better. So, definitely enjoy reading the comments in these videos too, and you'll learn a lot, and you'll learn from the questions that people ask, and so I recommend that as well. All right, thanks so much for watching, and appreciate you all so much. If you like it, please give us a thumbs up, and please subscribe. Thanks. Bye.